1945年の8月6日、広島に8月9日、長崎に人類史上初めての原爆が投下されました。
On the 6th of August 1945 in Hiroshima and on the 9th of August 1945 in Nagasaki, atomic bombs were dropped on two cities for the first time in human history.
それによってその年の12月までに広島では14万人の人が、長崎では9万人の人が亡くなりました。
And the effects of these bombs meant that by December of 1945, 140,000 people in Hiroshima and 70,000 people in Nagasaki had lost their lives.
それも人間として生きることも死ぬこともできないような状態で、虫けらのような状態で死んでいきました。
These hundreds of thousands of people were not able to live their lives as human beings and were not even able to die as human beings ought to with dignity.
広島ではリトルボーイと言われるウラン型の爆弾、長崎ではファットマンと言われるプルトニウム型の爆弾が実験のために投下されました。
A uranium bomb known as Little Boy was used in Hiroshima, and a plutonium bomb known as Fat Man was used in Nagasaki. These were effectively experimental trials.
核と人間とは絶対に一緒に生きていくことはできません。
I strongly believe that nuclear weapons and human beings cannot possibly coexist.
75年前のこれは歴史でもなく、また昔話でもなく、今も続いている悲劇なんです。
This is by no means just history that dates to 73 years ago. It is something that continues to live on today. Its legacy continues to this present moment.
原爆による放射能の影響を心配している人もいますし、親が被爆者だということで、適齢期の息子や娘たちの縁談も破談になったりしています。
There are still people who suffer from the after effects of radiation or worry about potential consequences of the radiation, and people who experience discrimination, for example, just because their parents or grandparents were sufferers and victims of the atomic bombings.
私は両親が国語の教師をしておりまして、兄が1人いて、4人家族でお手伝いさんがいて、10歳までは幸せな日々を過ごしていました。
My parents were both language teachers at a middle school in Hiroshima, and I also had an older brother, and the four of us lived together happily with our housekeeper until I was 10 years old.
しかし小学5年生の時、国からの命令で4年生から6年生の子どもは全員集団疎開か縁故疎開かどちらかをする命令が出ました。
But when I was in the 5th grade in primary school, due to a nationwide state order, everyone from grades 4 to grade 6 were ordered to be evacuated.
そのため私の両親は毎日相談していましたけれども、結局母が休職し、兄と私を連れて父の郷里である広島の近くの島に疎開することになりました。
My parents debated for a long time what we should do in response to this order, and eventually my mother quit her job, and so our family moved to an island that was close to the center of the city of Hiroshima.
その島は平和で美しく、戦争の影などどこにも見えないような穏やかな島でした。
It was a beautiful, beautiful, peaceful island, and there was no trace of the war that was happening everywhere else when we lived there.
しかしそれもわずか4ヶ月のことで、8月5日が父の42歳の誕生日でしたので、母は広島に行きました。
We stayed on the island for about 4 months, and in fact on the 5th of August, that was my father's 42nd birthday, and my mother went back to Hiroshima City to see him on that day.
そしてその翌日8月6日午前8時15分、父は出勤途上の電車の中で、しかも爆心地と言われる相生橋の上で被爆しました。
And then just the next day, on the 6th of August, at 8:15 in the morning, when my father was traveling to work on the train, he experienced the atomic bombing. He was on the bridge, which is said to be the hypocenter of the explosion.
わずか580メートルの上空から4000度近い真っ赤な太陽のような爆弾が落ちてきたのです。その時その下の1キロ圏内にいた広島の屋外にいた人たちはみんな黒焦げの死体となりました。
He experienced a blast which is said to have measured 4,000 degrees Celsius, effectively a red-hot sun hit him from 580 meters above. All the people within 1 kilometer of the hypocenter who were outside at the time were burned alive instantaneously.
父も背中に大やけどをして軍隊の方に運ばれて宇品の近くの小さな島に収容されました。
My father too suffered enormous burns all over his back, and military officers carried him to a hospital that was set up on a nearby island.
しかしそこで5日間生きていましたけれども、どうしても私たちに会いたいと思って宇品港まで来たところでばったり倒れ、誰一人見取られることもなく42歳の若さで亡くなりました。
He managed to live on for 5 more days, but he wanted to see us so desperately that he forced himself to make his way to the port. And there he collapsed. He died alone, without anyone knowing who he was, at the age of 42.
一方母も大きな建物の下敷きになって暗闇の中を一筋の光を求めて一生懸命這い出しましたが、頭には大怪我をしていますし、左腕にも大やけどしていました。そして見渡す限り今まであった家はことごとくなく、遠くにあった山が近くに見え、男とも女とも知れない形の裸同然の人たちがのろのろと歩いていました。
My mother too was trapped under a collapsed building, and she struggled to make her way out, trying to see any light that she could find. She received head wounds, she had terrible burns on her left arm, and when she finally made it out of the rubble, the entire city was flooded, and the mountains that had seemed so distant when the buildings were standing looked like they were right beside her. And as she looked around, she could see people just shuffling along the street. Naked, their clothes were burned, they were horribly disfigured from the explosion, and you couldn't even tell sometimes if they were men or if they were women.
地獄のようなその状態の中を母は父を探して1週間類々とした死体を一体一体かき分けながら探し回りましたけど見つかりません。
And my mother spent an entire week in that environment, in that horrible, hellish environment. She looked through piles and piles of bodies, searching desperately to see if she could find my father.
体力の限界も感じて、母はひとまずその私たちがいる島に帰ろうと思って宇品港に行きました。
Eventually, she felt like her body was just reaching the limits, its absolute physical limit. And so she made her way back to the port in order to return to the island where my brother and I were.
しかし宇品港では裸足で髪はボーボーで洋服は血みどろで一銭のお金も持たない中年の女性が船に乗せてください、後でお金を払いますっていくら叫んでも相手にしてくれません。
But when she got to the port, no one would help her. No one would help this middle-aged woman without any money, barefoot, hair a complete mess, clothes bloody. No matter how many times she said, I have the money, I can pay you back, nobody would listen to her.
そこへ一人の男性がつかつかと寄しかよってきて10円札をくださり、センスをくださったそうです。これをお使いくださいと言って渡してくださったそうです。
But it was in that moment that one man came to my mother and offered her 10 yen and a hand fan and said, please, use this.
地獄の仏とはこのことと母は一生その方に感謝していました。
My mother never forgot this act of kindness in the midst of this terrible disaster. Never, not through her entire life.
しかし母の体は原爆症に侵されていて島に帰ってくるとばったりと倒れました。
But my mother's body had been so damaged by what she had suffered by the radiation that she collapsed as soon as she made it back to us on our island.
近くの島でおばの弟が病院を経営していましたので、そこに入院させていただくことになりました。
My uncle ran a hospital on a nearby island, and so we took our mother to the hospital.
兄が12歳、私が10歳でしたけれども、私たちも母と共にその島に住み込んで、毎日広島から送られてくるドロドロになった被爆者の方々をお世話をしました。
I was 10 years old at the time, my brother was 12, but we stayed with my mother while she was hospitalized, trying to take care of her. And every day, they brought in new bodies of people who had been affected by the bombing from Hiroshima. They were effectively melted. The heat had been so strong it completely disfigured them.
たくさんの包帯を洗ったり干したり、また新鮮なトマトやキュウリを洗って切って食べさせてあげたりと、10歳と12歳でしたけれども、できるだけのお手伝いを毎日しました。
We were 10, we were 12, there wasn't much we could do, but every day we washed hundreds and hundreds of bandages. We cut up tomatoes and cucumbers and we tried to feed them to the victims. We did whatever we could to make their suffering even a little more bearable.
やがて翌年になって母も退院し、母と兄と私と3人でまた広島で過ごすことになりました。
It took quite some time, but the following year my mother was finally released from hospital, and so she, myself, and my brother returned to Hiroshima City.
兄と私とそれぞれ中学高校へ大学へ行くために東京に行き、やがて卒業して就職し結婚するという時になって母も東京に来ました。
My brother and I returned to school. We made it through middle school, senior school, and then eventually we moved to Tokyo for further university studies. We managed to graduate, we both found jobs, and just at the point where we were going to be married, our mother came from Hiroshima to Tokyo to see us.
しかし36歳で原爆の直撃を受け、それから12年兄と私のために一生懸命に働いた母の体はもうボロボロでした。
But my mother had worked for years to make sure that my brother and I were all right, to raise us and take care of us. And those years and the suffering that her body experienced at the young age of 36 from the radiation had finally taken their toll.
私と兄も私も結婚するという時、母は倒れ、私の結婚と同時に52歳で亡くなりました。
And so just in the moment when myself and my brother were both getting married, my mother collapsed. She passed away at the age of 52.
全身はがんに侵され、解剖しましたら骨まで赤くなっていたそうです。
Her entire body was riddled with cancer, and when she was examined later, it was discovered that the effects were so bad that her bones had turned red.
それから母が亡くなって、母が島に帰ってきたと同時に、今度おばが父を探しに広島に出てくれました。
In fact, just to return back to the time of the bombing, just as my mother came back to the island, my aunt took her place and went to Hiroshima City to try and find my father.
おばも1週間ぐらいずっと探し回ってくれたんですけれども、最後に広島市役所の市長さんの隣に父の白木の箱を見つけてくれました。
My aunt searched around the city for a week. She wasn't able to find my father, but finally she went to the city office in Hiroshima, and there she found some of his belongings.
父の箱の前には、白木の箱の前には父の眼鏡と手帳があったそうですけれども、おばだからということでそれを渡してもらうことができませんでした。
She managed to find his glasses and some of his hair. or a fragment of his hair. But because she wasn't his wife, she wasn't directly related to him, they didn't allow her to collect the material.
母はそのことを一生悲しんでいましたけれども、その白木の箱の中には父の遺髪だけが入っていました。私はそれから10年以上その遺髪を白木の箱に入れて、父が懐かしくなるとそれを見ていました。
But eventually she wasn't able to collect the glasses, which my mother deeply regretted, but she was able to collect the fragments of my father's hair. And so for a very long time, every time I thought of my father, I would take that and I would look at it and I would be reminded of him.
私はこの無念の思いで亡くなった両親の思いを続けるため、続けるため、いろいろとそれから証言活動を始めることにいたしました。
And it's because of my memory of my parents and my desire to preserve that recollection of them that I decided to take part in these sorts of testimonials and activities.
原爆の恐ろしさや平和の尊さ、戦争の虚しさを伝えていきたいと思っています。
I want to share with people the horror of the bombing, the importance and value of peace, and the total futility and wastefulness of war.
私が中学生の頃の話ですけれども、授業中によく給油が 4,5 人、ジープが来ては連れて行かれました。
This is a story from when I was in middle school, and I was in about years 7 to 9. But sometimes during our lessons, a jeep would arrive at the school and would take away 4 or 5 people at a time.
それは ABCC といってアメリカがきれいな建物を建てて放射能の影響、原爆の影響を研究するための建物でした。
They took them to a beautiful new building that had been installed by the Americans at the time. And this was a building for the ABCC, or the Atomic Bomb Casualty Commission, which the United States had set up to research the effects of radiation and the atomic bombing.
そこに連れて行かれた給油たちは裸にされて頭の先から足の先まで徹底的に調べられたそうです。
These classmates of mine weren't taken away for medical treatment. They were taken to this building, they were stripped naked, and examined from head to foot to discover the effects of radiation on the human body.
そこでは研究だけをして治療は一切しませんでした。そしてその亡くなるとその人の内臓を全部アメリカに送り、遺体にはワラクズを詰めて遺族のもとに返していました。
And the research didn't just stop with that. These people were examined throughout their lives, and even after they passed away, their organs were removed and sent to the United States for further examination. Their bodies were filled with straw and returned to their families.
それもその後、ワラクズを詰めるのをやめて、右手の親指だけをちょん切って遺族のもとに返していたそうです。
And later, they didn't even return the bodies stuffed with straw. They would cut off the thumb of the right hand of the deceased person and just send that back to their families.
この広島が一番絶望のどん底にあるとき、アメリカはプレスコードを引いて、一切広島には何もなかった、もう何でもないというニュースを流していました。
And it was in this time, when the city of Hiroshima was struggling most deeply, that America used its press code to censor any news of the atomic bomb. And so no word of what was actually happening in the city left the city.
その10年間の間にどれだけ多くの人が絶望の底で自殺したり死んでいったかもしれません。
We still do not know how many people suffered during those 10 years in silence, how many people suffered from depression, how many people committed suicide or tried to during that time.
昨年、ICAN が核禁止条約でノーベル賞をいただきました。それによって今までずっと被爆の証言をしてきた人たちは少しでも一歩でも平和に近づいたと喜んでいます。
Last year, ICAN, the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, was awarded the 2018 Nobel Peace Prize for its efforts in promoting the treaty on the abolition of nuclear weapons. And in this moment, the hibakusha, the atomic bomb survivors, felt a great degree of happiness, because they thought that it was our belief that our efforts over these many decades, sharing our testimonies and our experiences, had helped to create this treaty, which resulted in the awarding of the prize.
私の方は二度と世界のどこでも核が使われないよう、二度と私たちのような辛い思いをする人たちが出ないようにいつも願っています。
And our wish, our undying wish, that of all hibakusha, all atomic bomb survivors, is that nuclear weapons will never again be used in this fashion, and people will never again be made to suffer as we have suffered.
No more 被爆者、No more 広島、No more 長崎を叫び続けています。
And we continue to shout, no more atomic bomb survivors, no more Hiroshimas, and no more Nagasakis.
最後に私の好きな広島の原爆の詩人と言われる峠三吉の詩「人間を返せ」を読ませていただきます。父を返せ、母を返せ、年寄りを返せ、子供を返せ、私を返せ、私に連なる人間を返せ、人間の世のある限り崩れぬ平和を返せ。
Finally, I would like to share with you a poem that means a great deal to me. It was written by scientist Doge, and it can be translated it can be interpreted as a poem titled Return to Me. And the words of the poem read as follows. Return me my father, return me my mother, return to me the elderly, return to me the young, return myself to me, return to me all the people who were related to me, all the people who were lost, and return to me the peace that we once felt, that we once enjoyed. Return to me. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。